Hello folks, and welcome back to Meaningful Money. Okay, I thought I'd do one more here, up above Rinsey Cove, because the sea is spectacular behind me, even though you can't see it unless I stand to the side. Perhaps I will stand to the side. No, let's stand in the middle, just in case I need to put anything up here, graphics-wise. Last time we talked about vested interest trusts. That's the first major type of trust that's available. This time it's non-vested interest trusts, predictably. And so these are different, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have done a separate video on them. But as the name suggests, they're different in terms of who has an interest in whatever is in the trust box, right? So again, I'm afraid there's two types, but really there's only one kind of type now. There used to be two, but they've kind of been merged into one. Two types are called discretionary trusts and accumulation and maintenance trusts. Right? Let's look at discretionary trusts first. Now you may remember last time I talked about something briefly called a flexible power of appointment trust, and that is where the trustees who look after the trust money can decide who the beneficiaries will be. But in a power of appointment trust, there is usually a list of possible beneficiaries or potential beneficiaries. So it might say, instead of saying my son Jim or my daughter Jo, it might be my children. And so the trustees then, it might not seem like much of a distinction, but the trustees aren't bound to give money to any one over the other. They're not bound to give a set amount to one. They can exercise discretion or power as to who to appoint as beneficiaries. Right? Now, a discretionary trust is very similar, but there are only potential beneficiaries, no actual beneficiaries. So you'll never see a discretionary trust which says, I want my son Jim to benefit. No, you'll always see a discretionary trust where the trustees have power to appoint whoever they want. And so it might say, I give my trustees power to look after my money for the benefit of such of my children as they see fit to appoint as beneficiaries. So it gives trustees plenty of power. Okay? That's basically it for discretionary trusts. The rest is much the same, and we'll get into a lot more detail about what can go into the trusts and how it can be managed, and taxation, because taxation is different on discretionary trusts to the type of trust we talked about last time. Just to cover that accumulation and maintenance alternative, the second kind of non-vested interest trust that you might come across. These, up until the 22nd of March 2006, these enjoyed a special kind of tax regime, a much more beneficial tax regime, and they were specifically for money given to children by their grandparents, usually. Not always, but usually. And the money in the trust had to be used for the maintenance and education of the child beneficiaries. Any income from the trust had to be rolled up, hence accumulated, but had then to be used for the education or maintenance for the benefit of the child in question. There were some rules which made an A&M trust and nothing else. There were some rules which made them specifically those. I'm not actually going to bore you with them. Just things like the kids had to be, all the beneficiaries had to be children of the same grandparent and stuff like that. But in 2006, those special rules for A&M trusts were swept away, and they came into the same regime as normal discretionary trusts. Now, I'll explain what that means in coming videos when I talk about taxation and things like that. But a non-vested interest trust means that the trustees can decide who will benefit, often from a list of potential beneficiaries, but there is no specific, actual named beneficiary as part of it. And that has important tax consequences, which I'll come back to in 2 or 3 videos' time. Before I go into taxation, though, I'm going to talk about duties of trustees, which is just such a big deal. If you are a trustee or are thinking of becoming one, perhaps you've been asked to be by somebody, or if you're an executor in somebody's will and the will sets up a trust when that person dies, then you need to know what your duties are. Because more often than not, people take on the role of trustee without knowing fully what that means. But even before that, there are just a few other kinds of trusts which I'm going to cover off next time. So we've done vested interest trusts, It's a lot of noises. We've done vested interest trusts and non-vested interest trusts. So I'm coming back next time just to cover some other ones, cover off those, and then we'll look at the powers and duties of trustees, very important subject. So the last time, I think now, from Rincey Cove, I'm going to get back in the warm, get home and have my tea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.